Biden is such a serial liar. We cannot tolerate a commander-in-chief who lies like this. It's just unbelievable. And there were other things that I wish they'd gotten to, but I couldn't watch the whole thing. One of the senators who was especially effective, I thought, was Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. I thought Sullivan of Alaska. I thought Cotton of Arkansas. There were a couple others. I noticed the Democrats wanted to go through memory lane the last 20 years to try and avoid what was going on here, to try and create ambiguity. Some of them. But some of them were okay. But some of the Republicans, particularly Blackburn, I thought was quite good. So many of you didn't see this because you actually work for a living or were doing other things. So I want you to see the full 5 or so minutes of Senator Blackburn because she builds it up, and gets to the points where she wanted to go. Let's take a look. This is today. Go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, we thank you all for being here with us today. As you've heard from all of us, the American people, Tennesseans, are wanting some answers. They deserve to hear your testimony. And I think it is unacceptable that this is the first time that I'm hearing from you in any forum, despite attempts at outreach by both me and my staff, save a few short all-senator phone calls that we have had. And I want to emphasize, all of us here, every one of us, answer to the American people, and they deserve transparency and information regarding this administration's botched and disgraceful withdrawal. Tennesseans are really angry, and as you know, General Milley, Tennessee is home to the 101st Airborne, one of the most deployed divisions in the U.S. military. We're also home to the Specialized 160th SOAR, who were among the last on the ground extracting U.S. citizens from danger in Kabul. Tennessee National Guard units have deployed to Afghanistan at a high operational tempo, as well as providing vital logistical services such as refueling. We are home to more than 400,000 veterans, many of whom have lasting physical and psychological wounds from the time they have spent in service. And Tennesseans are heartbroken over the loss of one of our own, Staff Sergeant Ryan Knauss, a patriotic American who represented the best of all of us in the August 26 suicide bombing at Hamid Karzai International Airport. He made the ultimate sacrifice. So, how did we get here, and how did we get to what has been a complete letdown?
Now stop a second. So you're thinking, Mark, what's this all about? She's laying the predicate. She's explaining, I represent Tennessee. Tennessee has a lot of men and women in this battle in Afghanistan. We lost one of them as a result of this botched withdrawal. But then she begins the process of focusing in. Go.
I've got a few questions. These are yes or no questions, so quick answers are appreciated. General Milley, were there options given for keeping American troops in Afghanistan rather than the unconditional chaotic withdrawal?
Yes.
You presented options, and those options were declined.
There were options presented and debated.
Yes or no?
The decision was made.
Yes, sir. Yes or no is fine. Did you at any point create options for keeping Bagram open beyond July 2nd?
Yes.
Did you provide options for keeping Bagram open directly to the president?
Yes.
Had Bagram stayed open, would our support to the Afghan Air Force have been more effective in your view?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
If Bagram had stayed open, would our support to the Afghan Air Force have been more effective in your view? Yes or no?
Frankly, I'm not sure on that one because most of the Afghan Air Force was at different bases, specifically at HKIA.
President Biden keeps calling it an extraordinary success. We've discussed some of this today. Is leaving Americans behind an extraordinary success in your view? Secretary Austin?
We're not leaving Americans
Yes
behind.
or no is fine. Is the killing of 13 American servicemen and women while trying to secure a chaotic evacuation of the president's own making an extraordinary success?
The loss of any civilian life is always tragic.
Is the fact that we failed to evacuate most of our Afghan partners an extraordinary success, or the fact that we have Afghans bringing child brides, people who are hardly vetted? Is that an extraordinary success?
Again, these are issues that we continue to work to get our American citizens out and the Afghans who helped us.
Let me move on. Per Article 2 of the Constitution, the President may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments. Did the President ever require or request written recommendations related to the withdrawal of the Afghan forces? Yes or no? Secretary Austin, then General Milley, then General McKenzie. Yes or no?
We provided. I provided our input as a part of a policy process that was very well and deliberately run.
We will note that you didn't completely answer that. General Milley, any written form?
Yes.
Would you make those available to us?
Make it available to the committee upon request in accordance with appropriate classifications.
We will do so. General McKenzie? Yes
Yes.
or no? And you will make those available.
Based on guidance from the Secretary.
Each of you had committed to make those available when you went through your confirmation processes. We'll come back to you for those. General Milley, yes or no to this? Did you talk to Bob Woodard or Robert Costa for their book Peril?
Woodward, yes. Costa, no.
Did you talk to Carol Leonic and Philip Rucker for their book Alone Can I Fix It?
Yes.
Did you talk to Michael Bender for his book is Frankly, We Did Win This Election, The Inside Story of How Trump Lost?
Yes.
And were you accurately represented in these books?
I haven't read any of the books, so I don't know. I've seen press reporting of it. I haven't read the book.
Let's have you read the books and then let us know if you are accurately presented
Absolutely.
and portrayed.
Happy to do that.
Senator Blackburn, we're
All right, and that's when her time runs out. But you can see she's tough. She hones right in. And I bet you're itching for more of that. I know I was. But I had to cut it off because I need to be here. So she got some very interesting information. They put in writing their advice to the President of the United States, as they're required to do by statute, not just verbally. That the advice they gave to the President really did differ from what the President did about retaining the 2,500 to 3,500 troops there. As for the Bagram base, Milley's answer was quite mealy-mouthed. You know, the Air Force assets of the Afghans are another location. Well, so what? Our jets move pretty fast. They can get there and get anywhere they want to because we own the skies. The enemy didn't have an Air Force. And you could see that. There was also the questioning today, but what it underscores is that Joe Biden is a pathological liar. He was going to do this no matter what. There was excellent questioning by Tom Tillis, I might say also, of North Carolina. And Tillis was pretty tough. And he made the point that, hey, look, Biden didn't have to follow any deal whatsoever. He canned the Iran deal. He put back in place the Paris Accords. This idea that he had to do this or had to do that because of the prior administration is bunk. And of course, he's right, isn't he? In terms of conditions-based withdrawal, other senators pulled out the fact that there were no conditions when it came to Biden. He gave the deadline. He wanted to get out. It didn't matter what the Taliban did or was going to do. He wanted to get out. So there was some of that too, very, very interesting and useful. The 5-minute rule there is ridiculous. They're United States senators. I know they do it in the House, and I'm not fond of that either in the House, but they have much bigger committees. You know, you've got committees with 30, 32, 34 people, whatever it is. This is the U.S. Senate. These committees are much smaller. 10 minutes allotted to each would, in my view, been much better. Elizabeth Warren was there. She wanted to talk about the entire 20-year horizon. Others wanted to do the same thing. But some of the Democrats, even though they were obviously anti-Trump, did ask some questions. Even this clown Blumenthal from Connecticut was very unhappy with the fact that American citizens were left behind. When he was asked by Tom Cotton why he didn't resign, good question, Milley kind of turned it around and basically said, you know, the men under me can't just resign. They can't just give up their commissions. I can't leave them on the battlefield and so forth and just resign when I disagree with the president. And it's unfortunate, but all of us sort of are armchair senators or what have you. And I thought to myself, I think what I would have said to him is this. The issue is not whether you resign because you disagree with the president. The issue is whether you resign now. Because there's American citizens in hostile territory. You're the head of the Joint Chiefs. You're to be held to account. Biden's to be held to account. The Secretary of Defense is to be held to account. But I'm talking to you, General Milley. Do you think, as the top general in our ranks, do you think that is something that any general should not object to, should not resign over, the fact that American citizens are going to be left? And so I would have pressed him on that point harder.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.